Mr. Miguel Molina.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that took the time out to come here. Les quiero dar las gracias a todos que tomaron este tiempo, esta ocasión para estar presente. Yes, I am the radio dude, but I'm actually an escaped farm worker from the fields of misery in California, which I escaped about 40 years ago. And upon escaping, I had a choice of going to Vietnam. I got selected in a lottery, number 68. And when the ROTC officials looked at me, there was 300 of us that they bussed out to the ROTC office. One of the Army recruiters looked at me and goes, "Wow, this is a specimen." And I looked at him and I go, "You know what? I'm not signing up. I want to sign seal. I want to sign conscious chapter. And I'm ready to do what Muhammad Ali did." Well, fortunately at that time, some Mecha students recruited me and said, "Listen, homie, we can get you to school, we can get you some money, some scholarships, and you don't have to go to jail." So I listened to the homeboys. I ended up in Sonoma State. And the first time I heard about the book, Occupied America, by Rudy, it was 1973. And I was a freshman at Sonoma State University, attending my first meeting of the Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán, Mecha. I stepped into a room full of people that looked like me. Now, up to that point, I was terrified. You know, I was at a campus. I'd never been in a campus, and to me, it looked like a prison. You know, a lot of white people and very few faces I could recognize. But when I walked into that Mecha meeting, I found a room full of people that looked like me. They talked like me. They kind of walked like me. The lingo was like me. And I said to myself, "Orale," which means all right. And that moment, and it was a moment of empowerment, a sentiment of safety, solidarity, pride, intense and pure engulfed me and lifted me to a place of determination and defiance to injustice. I took a breath and I sat down next to a fellow student. His name was Eugenio Mijares, who later became a lifelong friend of mine. We had a book sitting on the desk that he was sitting. I glanced at it and asked him about it. And he looked at me and he goes, "You need to read this, vato," which means dude. "You need to read this. You need to read this book and it's going to awaken you. And once you awaken, after you read this, you'll never see the world through the white man's eyes again." I didn't quite get it. He handed me the book. And I was starved. I was hungry. I was desperate to learn, to know. I grabbed the book and I consumed it in 3 days. It nourished my soul. It filled this emptiness that I was always wandering. I always walked around, you know, always looking at the ground. I was ashamed to look up. Looking at the ground, ashamed to look up. But after that, I started to look around me. I started to look at the world. And something that was suppressed in me for so long burst out. And I awakened to see my world in my own vision, my own voice. Not something that had been imposed and literally beaten into me by the white educational system. Now, when I say beaten into me, when I was first, second, and third grade, corporal punishment was the way that they taught you. I was classified mentally retarded. And every day, in this reading circle, when it came to my turn to read, for every word I could pronounce, I automatically stuck my hands out. By the end of that reading circle, my hands would be red and swollen. But not once would I shed a tear. That sistema became really apparent to me. And I found Rudy's and analysis and critique of the 1848 Treaty Guadalupe Hidalgo, which states that Chicanos remaining in the new territorial boundaries of the new configured United States had certain undeniable guarantees to land, culture, and basic human rights. It is the tradition of Chicanos, Mexicanos. Whenever you agree with something or you relate to it or it hits you, yell, clap, hey, grito, agua, whatever. Just be free to do that. I want you to participate in this. That's it. It stated that we had these rights. And you know what? It hit me like a ton of bricks. This led me to major in Chicano studies and political science. Upon graduation, I found myself poised and ready to defend La Raza and to liberate occupied America. Boy, was I outnumbered. I had no feria, no money. They had all the money, they had all the banks. Well, here I am, 40 years later, still pushing for that. And when I realized that I was vastly outnumbered and it would take me my life, I was able to take off my hat. No longer keeping my hand to hide under it, to look at the ground as I walked, to say, okie dokie, si patroncito, anything you say, sir. No more, no mas. I could take off my hat and be proud. All of a sudden, I even walked differently. No more, todo caído. Look at the sky. I even stood, something happened in my body. The transformation, the knowledge, which leads me to Rudy Acuna. Rudy is the literary giant of Chicano indigenous history, and author of one of the most banned books for the 20th and 21st century, Occupied America. The 1972 publication reaffirmed our lost history while awakening and empowering my generation to our forgotten past. It put into context the state of domination we currently find ourselves under. And it gave me the background to carry on the fight for cultural freedom and expression. Acuna mentored, unknowingly to him, he mentored myself and others in my generation to question our state of oppression, revolutionizing our way of reinterpreting ourselves by creating new roles within the Anglo society 4 years after Occupied America. The publication, which became the handbook of organizing Chicano thought and action. It clarified for the first time the birthright that my mother kept telling me all my life. My mother was Yaqui Tohono O'odham, which is the four corners of California, Baja, Sonora, Mexico, and Arizona. All my life she told me, "Hijo, no te dejes. Esta es tu tierra. These are our lands. We're Indians." And I didn't get it until I read the book. Realizing that our ancestral land is not under occupation by what is considered the southwestern United States. Sadly, we still find ourselves embroiled in a cultural, spiritual war, with Arizona leading the way. Our literary works under assault, our history denied, outlawed, and our communities criminalized. Today, Rodolfo Rudy Acuna remains a cultural icon of modern-day Chicano mestizo thought that still fights for our right to our identity as well as our rightful place and permanent place in this country's history and society.